Hello and welcome to Rule of 3 Reviews Mortal Kombat X, a 2D fighter from NetherRealm Studios and Warner Brothers Interactive for everything but the Wii U. And handheld devices, obviously. So anyway, this is the 10th installment in the Mortal Kombat franchise. And personally, I like Mortal Kombat. I think it's a good fighting game. It's one of the only games, other than mostly the anime fighters, that I really like. However, that really stopped at Deadly Alliance. I didn't care for the 3D Mortal Kombat games. I did like Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3, and then Mortal Kombat 9. Those are the only ones I really like. 9 I thought was a great reinvention of the series, and I thought it did a really good job of retelling the storyline from 1 and 3, and also changing it a little bit with some fun little twists that happen when you mess with the timeline. So I was excited for Mortal Kombat X. I wanted to mostly see where the storyline was going and see what characters were returning, what they could do with the game. While Mortal Kombat X, I think, is the best Mortal Kombat game today, it has a few kind of nitpicky issues that prevent it from being like the best fighter ever, but on the whole it's still a really, really good fighter, and I really enjoyed myself.
Kenshi wins. Fatality.
So the storyline of Mortal Kombat X takes place both right after the events of Mortal Kombat 9 as well as 25 years later. It also jumps around in between that time period for just jumping around sake. So like the beginning of the game is right after, then you jump 25 years and you get to another part that takes you back like 5, and you go back to the present, then you jump back 10, and you just kind of jump over the timeline to kind of fill in some gaps. On the whole, the storyline I thought was okay. It kind of did exactly what I wanted it to do. It was a little predictable, but it was, entertaining, and I think it's still one of the better, Mortal Kombat I still think has some of the best narrative-driven fighting games, and I don't think really any other fighting game has come close to this other than, Injustice, but I mean, that's made by the same people. I think they have kind of the narrative storytelling element down. Like I said, it was just been nice to not be as cliche and kind of obvious where things are going. I think that's partly due because you do jump around the timeline a little bit, and anytime you do that, you kind of get into this possibility of spoiling things before they happen or not. So there's that. But on the whole, like I said, I thought it was an enjoyable storyline, and I'm interested to see where the next game goes.
Oh, sorry, ma'am. Didn't see you there.
Miserable wretch! Insignificant speck of feculent scum! How dare you!
Okay, the gameplay for Mortal Kombat X is, I think, probably the best part of the game. So if you liked Mortal Kombat 9, you're probably going to really like Mortal Kombat X. The difference in terms of gameplay is, I'm going to kind of spell things out one by one, is, first off, the gameplay is a lot faster. Not crazy, BlazBlue, Persona Fighter-esque anime fighter speed, but it's definitely a lot faster than 9, and it felt faster. Combos are a lot more fluid. In my opinion, it actually controlled a little easier in terms of chaining normal attacks to combos and then keep going. I thought that system worked really well, and the gameplay, I think, just moves a lot faster because of just this. The overall speed has been increased. The other big difference is the roster is 29 characters, which isn't the largest a Mortal Kombat game has had, but it's still, I think, a good size roster in my opinion. Each character has 3 different variations, and while each variation tends to be very similar to each other, they have very distinct feels, which is very cool. Because you're playing, you may have only got a roster of 29 characters, but it's really 29 times, say, 2. So it's really about 40 different characters, because like I said, some of them do play fairly similar and don't feel different. But there's a couple to where, like, you play one version, it's completely different from another one, like... a good example, I think, is Kotal Khan. I think it's his sun god, and I forget the other one, but it's one where he uses his sword. They feel completely different. Combos are completely changed. In one Let's Play, actually, Sonya Blade has 2 modes where it's special ops and demolitions. They felt completely different in terms of how I could combo and do things. So it's really cool that they were able to do that, and I really enjoyed the variations, and I want to see them continue doing that in future games. Other than that, brutalities are back. In order to do brutalities, you have to meet certain requirements. It'll tell you on the brutality list like how to achieve those brutalities. because you can't just pull it off at the end. There's usually something you have to do in the first match or during the match in order to do. Each character has 2 fatalities. You can get easy fatalities from the crits, which I'll discuss in a little bit. That'll allow you to just push 2 buttons and it automatically does instead of having to do the input. That just makes it convenient if you want to see all of them, if you can't do some of theirs, because fatalities can be hard for some people. Let's see. That's really it. X-ray attacks are back, enhanced moves, all those good things are back from 9. The other cool thing is the crypt. The crypt is, if you played Mortal Kombat 9, is where you go and unlock stuff. Mortal Kombat 10 has done the coolest thing with it and has kind of made it its own separate little mini game, and it is awesome. So basically, you go through and you do what you did in Mortal Kombat 9. You go to a gravesite or whatever, click on it, pops up with the concept up, a new fatality, brutality, whatever, and then you go to the next one. You do that, and it's that same basic concept, but they made it into like this little maze, to where you can only do so much until you find a key item, and then you use that key item to progress into a different area or a secret area. There's also random monster attacks that require QuickTime events, which are also in the campaign, by the way. And I just thought it was a really cool way to do collectibles. Like, I liked MK9s to where you just kind of went to there, but this kind of evolved it, and I really enjoyed the crypts. And unlocking things, just exploring it, because there's just so many different areas. It's really cool. I really enjoyed the crypt. Other than that, towers are back. The other new thing is factions. So at the beginning of the game, you're going to choose one of 5 factions. There's the Brotherhood of Darkness, which is Quan Chi and his group. Special Ops is Sonya. The Lin Kuei, Sub-Zero. The White Lotus, Raiden and the Shaolins. Or the Black Dragon, which is Kano's group. Depending on your faction, depends on really nothing other than what side you're fighting for. All the activities you can do in Mortal Kombat, whether it's single player, 2-player, towers, whatever, all counts towards faction, and it goes into this big pool. This big pool decides who wins. Different times of the day, there's different activities. One of the cooler things I thought that they did was this thing called Invasion Boss, where I think it's the last 3 hours of the faction wars before it resets. Is it summons like this boss, and you have to both not die and do as much damage as you can to it as possible. The first one I did was Melina. She had super armor that took 5 hits to get her out of, and she just destroyed your face, and you had to survive for 30 seconds. And depending on how well you do, depends on how well you support your group in defeating the invasion boss. It's a cool system. I really enjoyed faction. It also increases or unlocks different things for your custom card or whatever you want to call it. Those things actually do give bonuses, whether it's bonus XP, faction points, coins, things like that. So there actually is some usefulness to getting different titles in the game. What else? The game has tons of unlockables. This is probably by far some of the biggest or the most unlockables I've ever seen in a game in a long time, and I'm really digging it. Definitely feels like there's tons and tons of content. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm in the crypt. I'm still not even close to being done with it. There's just a lot of stuff to do in this game, and that's one of the major problems with the game as well. Is this game expects you to play it for a long time, and that's like I said, I'm putting that down as a negative, because if you just got this game, you want to do things every now and then, and just play it every now and then, you're never going to be able to unlock everything. It's near impossible. It expects you to do everything. Let's see, Living Towers. The Challenge Towers are back, kind of. Instead, it's called Living Towers, and they kind of have just random modifiers on it. One changes hourly, one changes daily, and then every now and then they do like a promo one. Like the promo one going on for right now is if you don't have Goro, you can play as Goro in that tower to kind of get a feel for him. What else? Test Your Might, Test Your Luck are back. Test Your Might Tower is awesome and fun. The ways you can die in that are pretty funny. Test Your Luck is just random fun. King of the Hill, different multiplayer. All of it works really well. I thought the online servers actually, they worked for some of it. At least the PvP portion, the faction war stuff, not so much. That kept going down, which is a shame, because I wanted to do more with faction wars. Let's see what else is what other contents in Mortal Kombat 10 that I'm forgetting. I think that's pretty much it. But yeah, overall, there's just a ton of stuff to do in Mortal Kombat 10. It's all good stuff. Mortal Kombat X is by far, I think, the greatest Mortal Kombat game they have ever done. Gameplay, I thought, was a lot better than 9. It flowed a lot smoother and was really, really good. While I didn't think the storyline was quite as good as 9's, it still it's still a good story. It's just, I don't know. It's just a little too predictable, and it's just not quite on the same level as 9's. But that's made up by just having a lot of content and the game working very well. I'm giving Mortal Kombat X a buy rating. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not basing this just because I like Mortal Kombat. The game is really, I think worthy of a buy. I think there's enough content and stuff in this game to last a long time, especially if you're into fighting games. If you're not, then obviously you can ignore this review for the most part. So that's it for the review. There's actually not a game coming out for a while, so odds are there's going to be a couple of Roy Retro reviews going up to kind of fill the gap. I think the next review isn't until The Witcher 3, but we'll see. So once again, thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure to subscribe to our channel. If you have time, check out our Patreon page, and if you can, donate $1 or $2 if you want to. It really helps out. All that money goes back into the site. We're trying to get monthly giveaways going, which is our first milestone, and we're almost halfway there. So please, if you can, please support us there. Check out ruler3.com for all our news postings. I've been a little slow on news because I started a new job, and it's taking a little getting used to, and I have to work out some stuff in my schedule. So I've been trying to post news at night. Yesterday it didn't happen because I just fell asleep when I got home. But anyway, everything should be going up daily at night for the most part, except on days I'm home. I'll know more later on my schedule, and I'll post that on the website to when things are going to start going up regularly again in terms of on what day. Like us on Facebook and Twitter, all that good stuff. So until next time, always remember to trust in the rule of 3.